Hi folks, in this setting up Java step-by-step tutorial, let's see how to download and install Java, and then we'll be verifying our installation, and then we'll be setting up the environment variables so that the Java commands can be run from any folder, and then we'll be writing a simple hello world.java source file. We'll be compiling it and then we'll be running it. Everything covered in this particular video tutorial will be displayed in the link shown below step by step, which is this particular post. So you can refer to this at any time when you're going through the video. So the first step is let's set up some folders. It is a best practice to separate your development tools from the projects and then have a separate folder for the scripts. So the tools folder C/tools, for example, you can also put it inside the C users, your user ID, and then you can create the folder inside the tools. For this particular tutorial, I'm going to create directly under C folder. So the tools folder is where I'll be downloading the JDK, and in the future tutorials we'll be installing Maven, Eclipse. So all the development tools will be going into the C tools folder. And then all the projects that we are going to work on is going to go inside the C projects folder. And the C scripts folder is basically to write any scripts, for example, DOS scripts or a Unix. In this particular tutorial, I'm going to create an environment DOS script to set up the environment variables. So you can see here I've created a projects folder, then we have a tools folder, and also then we should have a script folder here as well. So in order to install Java, you need to go to this particular URL, and then it'll give you the latest version of the Java. You go into the downloads tab. In this case, we're going to download JDK, which stands for Java Development Kit, version 8 and update 131. So you click on this and you will be downloading the installable file, and you download it to a desktop folder or whatever, and then you can double click on it. So before you can do that, there are a number of different, it comes with 4 different operating systems. So in this particular tutorial, I'm going to use Windows 10, which is a 64-bit system. So if it is anything after Windows 7, it's a 64-bit system. So I'm going to download the one for the Windows 64-bit. So you also need to click on this option to accept the license agreement. And then you can download this Java 8 update 131, which is an exe file. So after you download this Java file, and when you double click on it, and when you start to install it, you will be presented with this particular console. So basically it's giving you a number of different options. So you got the development tools, source code, and the public JRE. So development tools is what we are going to download now. So the development tools includes the JDK, and also inside that it will have a private JRE. If you're only going to run Java applications, that is if you already have a Java files or a bytecode, you want to run it, you can download the public JRE and then you can run your Java applications. But in this case, we're going to develop Java applications, so we need the JDK, and which comes with a private JRE as well. And by default, it will suggest program files Java JDK folder as the folder to install into. We have to click on the change, and we will change it to the C tools folder that we selected earlier. So when we say OK and we install it, it will basically install it inside our C tools, which I have already installed. So it's in C tools and JDK 8U131, which is a Java JDK 8 update 131 for the Windows 64-bit. There are different versions. So if you are running on Mac or any other operating system, you need to choose the right installation. So once you have installed it, let's go and verify some of the important aspects that you need to remember. So when you go to the JDK, this particular folder, you will have a bin folder. Bin is for binary. This is where you will have the Java compiler. The Java compiler is the javac.exe file. Once you compile a source file into a .class file with the javac compiler, then you can run a .class file with the java.exe. So this is how you run a Java program. And also if you need to do a packaging or whatever, then you can use the jar.exe. We will look at these in detail in the later tutorials. And another important thing to look at is inside the lib folder, it's a library, all the Java tools like Java C, the Java P, the Java doc, everything is being archived into the tools.jar as well. So if you open this jar file, is nothing but a zip file, so you can open any jar file with a zip file. So if you open it, you will see all the Java tools like commands, Java C, everything, whichever we have seen inside the bin will be inside the tools jar as well. Now if you go back to the JDK folder again, the source.zip, the source.zip is where you have all the Java API or Java library source files. They are the .java files. So if I go and double click on it, you can see inside the source zip you have the packages. So you got the Java, you got the lang, and inside the lang you will have the Java data types like character, string, double, and so on. It also has the Java util for the utility classes, SQL for any SQL related Java source files, math, anything math related, IO is for reading a file or writing a file, any IO operations. And then if you go into the JRE, this is the private JRE. So you have the bin and it will only have the Java. So to run a Java application, you'll have the java.exe file. And also inside the JRE lib, you will have the rt.jar. rt stands for runtime.jar. So the source.zip file we saw earlier in the JDK folder will be the source files, that is .java files, and the rt.jar will have the .class files. So this is what we need when we run Java applications. It'll look at the rt.jar for any, like if you are using a Java lang string or whatever, it'll be looking inside this rt.jar. So I have extracted this rt.jar here with a WinZip or 7-zip file. You can see you will have the Java, the similar package structure as we saw before with the source.zip, lang, and you'll have the character class, you'll have double, all the data types, you have the string, and so on. So now we have verified the installation and we have gone through some of the tools or the commands that we'll be using, like a javac.exe, java.exe, and so on. Now let's go to a DOS command prompt and see if it is installed properly by running a few commands. Firstly, the easy way to check is java-version to see what version of Java we are running. And it says Java is not recognized as an internal or external command. So basically we are running this directly on the C folder. But we installed Java inside C tools and it will be under bin is where the java.exe is. So now if we change directory to C tools JDK 8 update 131 and then the bin folder where we have the java.exe, javac.exe. So if we run now java-version, it says now we have Java version 1.80 and update 131. We can also see where it is installed with a command called where Java, and it says where the Java exe is. Now this is not good enough, because when you run with your projects, you will be storing your Java projects inside the C projects folder. So at the moment, we can only run these Java commands from the installation folder. So how do we fix this? This is where the environment variables come in handy. So I already have a C scripts folder, so let's change directly to the scripts folder. And I have a script called environment setup.cmd. So let's run this. So it has done some magic. We will go through that soon. So now if I do CLS to clear the screen, and if I do the Java -version, here we go. So now I can run the Java command from any folder. So I can also change directly to projects. This is where I'll be having all my Java projects. And then if I type in Java -version, sorry, I missed the hyphen. Now it tells me the Java version. I can also say where Java. It tells me where Java is installed. So let's now look at that script. So basically it's a .cmd file, and the first line is a remark. So basically it's like a comment. So we are setting an environment variable called tools_home, all capital letters. So we are setting that to C tools. Then we are setting an environment variable called Java_home. So this is where saying where the Java home is. So %tools_home%, which is referring to the C tools, the variable that we set in the line number 2. And then there's a subfolder called JDK8 and update 131 for the Windows x64. So once you have set the Java home, then we go to this, we go to set the path variable. The path variable is where the magic happens. It knows where to find your Java installation. So you're setting %path%. That means anything that already set, because you set the path variable for other applications on your computer. Then separated by a semicolon. Then we are saying %Java home%, which is nothing but what we have set. This is the path which is C tools, JDK, blah blah, and then the bin. So bin is where you have the Java exe, Java c.exe, and so on. So this is how, when you run this command, your path variable is set. You can go and verify this by setting the set command. So in Unix you do env, environment command. In DOS you do set. So here you can see all the variables that have been set. So you can see C tools, JDK, bin is set as a part of the path. And also you can see Java home is set. So Java_home is set to C tools, JDK 8, update 131 Windows 64-bit. And also you can see the tools home is set as well. So these are all basically environment variables, but the most important thing is to set the path. So these are all set, and then the constructor to set the path. I showed you we can use where Java, and in Unix you got to use which Java. So in Unix also you have to set all those environment variable, but there's a slight difference. You got to use colons instead of semicolon to separate them, and you use a export command, and then you put the variable name. So the Java home variable names will be same, but there's a slight difference. So we can also now go and echo %Java_home %. That'll be echoing what value it has been set with. So now that the environment variables are set, we should be able to run the Java C and the Java command from any folder. So in this tutorial particularly, we'll be running it from the projects folder. So inside the C projects folder, let's create a very simple hello world.java application. And let's go and open this in the Notepad++. So I'm using Notepad++ because it supports Java, even though it doesn't give you all the bells and whistles that an IDE like Eclipse will give you. When you're starting with Java, it is always good to use a Notepad++ and understand how things are working, because the IDEs will hide a lot of the complexities. So it's always good to develop few programs with the Notepad++ before you move to an IDE like Eclipse. So in here, after you download Notepad++, when you're saving it, make sure that you save with helloworld.java as the extension, and maybe it's put within quotes, because sometimes it'll put hello.java.text. You don't want the text extension, you always want java.java as the extension, because Java source files will have an extension of .java. And also here, if you go into the settings and if you go into preferences, you can see you can set your file association. So you can say all the Java you can associate with the .java as the file association. So I can select on that and I can close here, and also then I go into the settings, preferences. You can also select the language menu, Java, and you can select that as well. So basically this Notepad++ provides you some level of Java support. So here's a very simple hello world. So it says public class. These are all the Java source application will start with. Then name of the file, this will be same as the file name, hello world. And then static main method is an entry point. We'll be creating a new main thread, and if you run any hello world, always it'll execute the main method. And basically what we have is a system.out.println, my first Java code without any IDE. So this system is basically a Java class that is inside the java.lang package. So we looked at rt.jar, runtime.jar, so which is inside that. And mostly if you're using any of the API, you got to provide an import statement. But since this is inside the java.lang package, implicitly the java.lang package will be imported. But we can also explicitly say import java.lang.system. Now let's go and compile this hello world.java source file that we just created. To compile it, we got to use javac. So when you run the javac hello world.java, it has compiled, there's no error. And if you go inside, you can see a hello world.class file has been created. This hello world.class is the bytecode. Now we should be able to run this hello world.class with the java.exe command. So when you run the java hello world, you don't put the .class there. It won't work if you put the .class. So basically when you call hello world, it's going to execute your hello world.class file. Now we get my first Java code without any IDE. So essentially what we have done is, we have taken a Java code which is a .java file. So in this case it's a hello world.java. We run it through the javac, which is a Java compiler. So Java compiler creates the hello world.class file, which is a bytecode. And then we run this hello world.class file bytecode against the java.exe, which runs the Java virtual machine, so which is the JRE, Java Runtime Environment, and it runs on the JVM. And JVM is responsible for converting the bytecode into the native operating system code. So let's look at another diagram. It's the same, the Java source file. You have the Java development kit. So inside the Java development kit, we have the Java compiler, which is javac.exe. So when you run that against the hello world.java, you get the hello world.class file, which is a bytecode. And then you will have different rt.jar and different JREs for different environments. For example, for Unix, you will be having its own rt.jar and you will be having its JRE. And for Windows, you will be having its own implementation of the JRE. So when you have the bytecode can run on any of these JREs, depending on where this JRE is. If the JRE is in a Windows, then you run the JRE for the Windows. If the JRE is in a Unix, you run the JRE for the Unix environment. So when you run that, the instance of the JRE is what you call the JVM, Java Virtual Machine. So when you run the class files with the java.exe, the JVM will convert the bytecode into the native operating system code. So if a JRE is sitting on Unix, it will convert it to the Unix native code. If it is sitting on Windows platform, it will convert it to the Windows operating system native code. So we have seen already how we set up the environment. We created a simple hello world Java, we compiled it and we ran it. So this particular DOS session, we ran the environment. So if I close this and open this again, I need to run this environment setup command again to set up for that particular session, because when you run that command, it is only valid for that particular session. So if you are in Windows, you can also set up the environment variables via Windows like globally, so that every time you open a DOS command, it will be already set for you. So in order to do that, you go and open an environment variables console on Windows, which is under control panel system, and then you click on environment variables. And here I have already set my Java home. So before I set the Java home, I have also set the tools home. So if you go and edit, my tools home is nothing but C tools, and my Java home is basically using percentage tools home and tools underscore home percentage. This is the Maven home, sorry. So if you look at the Java underscore home, basically percentage tools underscore home percentage, then the JDK 8 update 131, exactly what we had done through the script, but we are doing it through this environment variable setup on Windows. And then finally you need to set the path. This is the most important thing. If I select path and then click on edit, you can see we have set up the path as percentage Java underscore home percentage bin. So now the path has been set. So that's all for this tutorial. So this should get you started with Java, and then in future tutorials we'll be creating projects, packages, and then we'll be including third-party Java files and so on. And then later on we'll be using Eclipse, Maven. That will get you started with building end-to-end Java application.